How do you hold on to a dream or a goal when lifing, when the day-to-day responsibilities take center stage? Today, I want to introduce you to a woman whose dream of becoming a writer began when she was in grade school. Her path to becoming a published author wasn't straight, it wasn't easy, and it certainly wasn't quick. Between grade school and now, she became a community activist, a wife, and a mother, but she never let go of her dream of becoming a writer. Coming up, Terri Strobert's inspirational and motivational story. But first, I'm Constance Howard, executive coach on a mission to help women gain unstoppable confidence. If you're joining me for the first time, I invite you to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you'll be notified when any new videos are posted. Thank you for joining me, and let's get to today's interview. Terri, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, thank you, Connie. Thank you for having me.
We've known each other for decades, but we haven't known each other in this kind of relationship here where you are a published author. Now, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good. It's one of the things that I can check off on my bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I wanted to always do. And I even told my kids, if I don't do it, you do it for me. But I'm glad I've done it.
Yeah. So you've been a writer all of your life, right?
Yes, yes. I started out as, in school. My teacher in the third grade, she pointed out, because I was very shy, I didn't say much in the classroom, but she said she came to know me through my writing. And then on one Saturday, I went to the library and they were showing a movie. Initially, they were showing a movie, and they said after the movie, we're going to have a writing contest. I'm like, oh, wow. I can write pretty good. And I did. I wrote and I came in second place. I was looking for first place. Okay. Let's be through about it. I was looking for first place, but I was happy that I got second place. It was about a little boy in the red balloon. The name of the children's film was The Red Balloon, and I won second place. And I got the second big red balloon. So it came on from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I started with diaries, journaling, and it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the book here, well, we're going to get to the book, but you mentioned that you always kept journals, and I'm always telling people to keep journals. How important was keeping a journal for you?
Well, initially I just did it to jot down my ideas, and also my feelings, whether I'm happy or sad, or if I was in a relationship, I would jot it down. And I think it was a form of releasement, because I would jot it down and later think about what I wrote. And generally, I came up with answers and solutions on my own, how to deal with certain situation, and then talking it out with friends, getting some ideas and everything, or how to handle a situation. But yeah, writing it down, it helped me to remember things, and it helped me to record, especially when I went on trips, when I traveled and I saw something and I wrote it down, what I saw, what I liked, how I felt. And that way I always kept it and can refer to it. But yeah, I kept
Yeah,
all my.
I always tell women to journal because for those reasons that you listed, it's a great way to remember. It's a great way to release whatever is inside of you. And for some reason, writing it down also gives you the ability to go back and you see it from a different perspective.
Yes.
Something that you may be challenged with, you see it from a different perspective when you write it down, then you come back and you look at it. Now, do
Yeah.
you still have your old journals?
Yes, I have them all. even from the diary, starting from 14 and 15 years old,
Wow.
down my ideas, especially my feelings, and
Mm-hmm.
back when you were dating and your
Mm-hmm.
boy was mad and you wrote that down.
Right, right. And
All of
that's what I love about journals is that it's between you, and you can put whatever you want in them because unless you share them, it's you and it allows you to unburden yourself, so to speak.
Yes, yeah,
So
I
now
agree.
you started writing in your journals. Now, what made you not go into writing as a full-time career?
Well, I needed a job, so I would take jobs, but I always look for their public information or their media department. And a lot of times I didn't have luck in the media department,
Mhm,
but I would take whatever position, be it a secretary or a receptionist, just to get a foot in the door.
mhm,
And I did get an opportunity to publish
mhm,
while working for them. One place was when I worked for Marta. I started out as a secretary. I I applied for other positions in media,
mhm,
didn't get them, but I would take the secretarial position as
mhm,
the foot in the door. And
mhm,
then I was studying photography as well. So
mhm,
with the writing and the photography at Marta in Atlanta, Georgia, gave me the opportunity to publish, photograph, and publish.
mhm.
You
MARTA
know,
being the transportation system in
yeah,
Atlanta for
Yeah,
people who don't know. Mhm, mhm,
transportation rail
mhm.
system. Yes.
What I
So
love about your journey is that you never gave up. And that's the message, one of the messages that I want women to take away from, this interview is that you had this burning desire inside. And, there may not have been a direct road to you writing, but you found ways to continue with your passion.
yes, yes. And I also did a little freelancing. I
Mhm,
remember back as a student that there was a writing contest that was given like in Ebony magazine
mhm,
when Ebony was out.
mhm,
And they had the John Johnson, the publisher,
mhm,
would writing contest for his mother. It was called the Gertrude Johnson Memorial.
mhm.
Well, I would submit,
Mhm,
unlucky, but I would submit, you
mhm,
know. So
mhm.
therefore, you have to fail before you succeed. But I
Absolutely.
continue on. I
Mhm,
continue,
mhm.
and,
And
and
I
I'm happy for this.
Absolutely. And I think, too many times as women, we're caregivers and, we take care of the needs of everybody else. We make sure that our children can follow their passion and purpose and all that kind of stuff like that. And we get left behind. And again, what I love about your journey is that you never sidelined your dream.
Yeah,
You never said it's too late.
right.
Right. That's an important thing.
That is important. Um, as I said, even with my children, when I was raising my children, I journal, I document their progress
Mhm,
and the role of motherhood.
mhm,
And that I am retired and I have this time. Someone said to me, "Well, why did you wait till you're retired or old age
Yes.
to write your story?"
Mhm,
And I said to her, "It's timing.
mhm.
It's timing.
Yes. Yes.
I've been documenting my journey all this point. Now that my children are grown, they're adult, they're working, I'm
Mhm,
retired, I have more time. I can put this together. And the pandemic was
mhm.
a great time for
Yes.
me to start
Mhm,
put all of this together. So
mhm,
I don't think of it as waiting till old age,
mhm.
I may
Mhm.
be older, but I don't feel. And
Mhm.
thank God for health and strength. But
Mhm.
I told her it's timing.
Yes.
Nothing really comes until it's time.
Absolutely. And I just think that, whoever said that old age thing should be, you should have given them a beat down. Because I hate it when people put an age limit on creativity because
Right.
there's no age limit on that, you know.
That's that.
And I think women have to be reminded of that all the time.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's fast forward. And how did this come about? This is your book,
Yes, yes,
and Women Sharing Our Stories is the name of the
yes,
book. And so tell me about that because it's a collection of stories, right?
yes, it is. It's a collection of stories by different authors.
Mm-hmm.
And when I joined this senior center, Tompkins Park Senior Center, I basically went there for exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing line dancing was one of the things,
Mm-hmm.
Zumba, but they have a schedule of activities, and one of them was writing.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, let me check the writing out,
Mm-hmm.
because it was coming out of the pandemic, and the classes that I normally take with the United Federations of Teachers retiring, they have a writing workshop, which I really love, so I still participate in that. And the author herself, the facilitator, was a published author of children's books.
Mm-hmm.
So that sent a light bulb off in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's published.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she can put me on the track to
Right.
get her published.
Mm-hmm.
So she was talking and we shared our stories and we read it. And she says, well, a few years ago, I said I was going to put a book together. And by the end of the semester, she says, since all of us are here, we're going to put this book together. So we
Wow.
were all excited.
Yes,
Wow.
I bet you were.
Wow. And yeah, I was eager
Mm-hmm.
and did everything. And we collectively, all the ladies, we collectively worked together
Mm-hmm.
and stories in. And
So
it
now you wrote a story. There were two things that you wrote, but you wrote the story about being in a class and doing a book report. Why was that important for you to put that on paper?
it was an experience. I was a high school student. And at that time, a lot was going on in our lives politically. We had the civil rights movement, we had Malcolm X, we had the Black Panthers, and the world was like on fire.
Mhm.
That's what my beginning of Black history. Why is this going on? And what moved me was that it didn't seem to phase any of my white classmates or even the teachers. It seemed like it was simply a Black people's problem,
Mhm.
but they seemed so removed from it.
Mhm.
What was also very surprising was the teacher herself. And she didn't look like it because back then it was like the hippie generation, wearing mini skirts and all colorful flowered shoes and everything. The teacher wasn't like that. She was like very reserved, and she would meet us coming into the door, was saying good afternoon and everything. And that most of the teachers didn't do that. They were always ruffled up, rushing from one class to another, carrying a stack of books and everything, and then yelling, be quiet, sit down. He was more calm. And that caught my attention. It's like, wow, where'd she come from? She's not the regular high school teacher
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
we know.
Mhm.
And she gave me that look of being puritanic in a sense. And
Mhm.
where did she come from? Because
Mhm.
she's one of us. So to me, she stood out.
Mhm.
So when we had to do book reports, and I expressed that I didn't like book reports because nothing seemed to relate.
Mm-hmm.
Then one of the boys in the class started talking about Easy Rider and
Which
what
was a
this
very popular movie at the time.
very
Extremely
culturally,
popular. Mm-hmm.
absolutely at that time. And they were talking about discrimination with these, actually first started out as two white men on motorcycles. They were the hippies.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, Jack Nicholson, Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper,
Mm-hmm.
and how they were treated because they were different. Their ideas just was breaking all the traditional barriers. They're not going to work in the sawmill for the next 20 years like their
Right.
fathers and
Mm-hmm.
mothers and grandfathers. They weren't going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They would live their life and be free. And so that change was posing a threat to life that general people knew.
Mm-hmm.
And they were against that, and
Mm-hmm.
they were, plus it was set in the South, because they were traveling from the West Coast, hippie, going to the Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And South's mentality of, troublemakers coming. And then I learned it was during that time also when the civil rights was going on. It all started in the South, Montgomery, Alabama. So all this change was coming about, and how people were resistant to it. They were holding on. And then come to find out that my English teacher was a former nun.
Wow. Wow.
She wasn't one of the girls from the block,
Right. So all of this is kind of like breaking stereotypes.
Yes.
Right. The teacher, the kid who said, "Hey, instead of a book, I'd like to do a movie."
Yeah.
Report
and
on the movie.
Yeah. And she said, she didn't say no. That got everybody's attention. She said, my husband and I will go see the movie. And on Monday, because she said, because it was towards the weekend, on Monday, I'll give you my answer. So when she came to class on Monday,
everybody was waiting, right? Everybody was waiting to see what she had to say. Yeah.
Right. And she told us she saw the movie. And then she said, all those who want to write about the movie can write about it, or you can write about any movie, or do the book report, but you must follow the guidelines of the house. Yay! Hallelujah.
So that really opened doors for you, right? Just the fact that she thought outside the box.
Yes. Because she, in religion, in the Catholic religion, she pretty much broke her vow and left the church. Decided to become a wife and mom, as opposed to remaining as a nun, living a life that she initially thought was for her, but learned that it wasn't.
Right.
And
what did that go ahead.
Took that giant step.
Yes. What did that say to you in high school? Like, what effect did that have on you?
Confidence, nerve, bold to step out, and because religion is very persuasive, but she stepped out on her faith, she and her husband, and made a life for her, herself. It opened doors. It opened, that was the first door that I could write. And I chose to write about a Black film, Anna LaCosta. I felt that what was going on with the civil rights, I knew that from an African American standpoint. But my classmates was beginning to see discrimination for themselves. That opened a door for them.
All of them were getting to see
all of them.
Yeah.
So I chose Anna LaCosta with Eartha Kitt and Sammy Davis Jr. And even in that, religion played an important role.
Mm-hmm.
Because in there, Eartha Kitt, her character didn't want to be a teacher. She wanted to be a singer.
Mm-hmm.
Her family, especially her father, was against
Mm-hmm.
that. So all of this meant change,
Mm-hmm.
breaking that mold, stepping out. And I'm saying stepping out on faith and confidence
Yeah.
that I will be who I want to be.
Yes. Now, how did you maintain that faith and confidence? Like through the years, because I know, we grew up during the same time, and that those were not easy times. And the boxes that African Americans won and the boxes that women were put in. So we had two strikes against us. We were African Americans and we were women. So it was a box on top of a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was very, very hard to break those boxes. How did you maintain your faith and confidence that this is something you could do?
Well, I learned confidence from a friend of my guy that I dated for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He had said to me, and I was still a college student, what did I see myself doing in 5 years?
Mm.
Heard that before. And
Wow,
I'm
that's
like,
a great question. Yes.
I don't know what I'm gonna do from now to Friday. The only answer I could give him at that time, I remember, was that, well, I hope I'm not still in school.
Mm-hmm.
I was bored with school. I was ready to get out and earn some money. That was the thing. We needed money to do things.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he messed up in school. He went away to Hampton Institute. It was called Hampton Institute at that time.
Mm-hmm.
His parents said that was it. They weren't spending another dime, that
Um,
he had to get it on his own.
mm-hmm.
But he had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
As they let me come back home, he said, I'm going to work 2 jobs. And at the time, he was working in a record shop just to get chump change, get
Mm-hmm.
some money,
Mm-hmm.
pocket.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm going to work 2 jobs. I'm going to get a full-time job and a part-time job. I'm going to save up my money. He said, then I'm going to get my own place. He says, a studio. A studio is fine. Then I'm going to get a car, and I'm not buying a new car, just something for wheels. He said, a brother got to have some wheels. And then he said, then I'm going back to school. Well, I remember when he said he stopped working at the record shop because he had gotten some job, but he asked me to type his resume so that he can get this part-time job at the center, after school center.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's a good thing because I don't have to spend money for car fare,
Mm-hmm.
and just walk home. And that was like a September. So by New Year's, he says, I'm having a get together, but it's not at my parents' house. It was at his place. So he had a studio.
Wow. Yes.
I'm like, okay, you're making a little progress. But it didn't really faze me too much because one day by the summer, we had lost contact. By the summer, I'm walking down the street and I see him drive by. And I was like, that's confidence.
Yes.
You got to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I was been walking around in a dark room, going through the motions, and it's like somebody lifted the shade up and the sunlight came in.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter what was going on in the world politically, because we had the drug epidemic,
Mm-hmm.
with people on crack. Well, before crack, heroin.
Mm-hmm.
Heroin was taking the lives of a lot of young people getting strung out on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
All was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a 5-year plan, and actually he completed it before 5 years. Because
Yes.
one day I was going to my class and somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said hi, and it was him.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I'm like, what are you doing here? He said, I caught up with you. I go to school here.
Wow.
Oh my God. And then he got a
Wow.
job working in the school. That like struck a match and put the fire. Oh, let me hurry up and graduate and get out of here. Because this guy is making progress and
Right.
I'm up here dragging my feet. No.
Yes.
So I saw confidence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In action. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell women, uh, my first question I ask them is, what do you want? Because, we struggle to answer that question. We know what we don't want, but we don't know exactly what it is we want. And once you have that clarity of what you want, and you can use that clarity to create your action plan, nothing and no one can stop you.
Well, I saw confidence in action.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think that gave me confidence
Mm-hmm.
because growing up, I was mostly very depressed. And I
Mm-hmm.
would write that in my journals.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a light bulb went off when I saw it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like only you can
Yes.
make it happen.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely.
it carried me through. It carried me through. And I think years later, when I moved to Atlanta and I came home to visit, I was in the bank and I saw him and I said, you helped me out a lot. You may
Wow.
not know it, but just with that 5-year plan,
Yes.
I you showed me what confidence is. And
Yes.
I think some people need to see it.
Yes,
In
absolutely. 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 And it's wonderful that you can borrow somebody else's confidence. That's okay. And that's what I love about women coming together and teaching each other and hearing each other's story. That's why when, you sent me the book, I was like, you know what, there's a story here that will help another woman realize that it's never too late and to
yeah.
follow your dream. And the other thing I want to talk to you about is, what does success look like? Because we grow up with this, society tells us that success is a six-figure job, a big house, a fancy car, a this or that. And somehow, along the way, we buy that, we drink the Kool-Aid. At least I can speak for myself. You drink the Kool-Aid, and then after a while, you're like, what does all this mean?
Yes.
What does this mean? And so when I started to define success for me, it was totally different,
Yes.
right? So tell me
Yes.
about you. How do you define success, and has it changed over the years?
Yes. Success is health, having
Absolutely.
God, health and strength in your life, because without it, you can't accomplish anything. Um, Having a loving husband, friend, partner,
Mm-hmm.
whoever, in your life, being positive, even in raising your children. You can see the mistakes of others and say, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Focusing on the good things, focusing on good friendship, good relationship, you know, faith in God. I feel that I've done that. I'm happy for my children. I didn't want them to fall into the streets. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, we make sacrifices in teaching them and keeping them involved in positive things. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
good and evil exists in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to stay positive. So I feel successful and I feel happy that I can be successful and can share with others and reach out to others right in my own community.
Mm-hmm.
I help improve any way I can in my own community. I was an administrative director for after school and day camp. I did that with within a church, a nonprofit, and I actually had kids that came to me from age 5 and they stayed in the program to 14, 15 years old. In back. And
And you actually wrote about one of them, right?
Yes.
Who tell us about that story.
That story is about one of the kids. They were brothers. It was about 2 kids. Were brothers who admired one kid that would play hooky from school. But the interesting thing was that some of the other students knew about it, and at home being reinforced what an education means to a better life. These young elementary, they were like 3rd, 4th graders, used to tell me about this boy they knew, and that the fact he never went to school. He never came to school. And they noticed that. They were aware of that because they were being taught the importance of education. And so one of the brothers was, the oldest one was kind of admiring the street life of this young boy and thought that he's really something. He plays hooky from school and everything. But as a child care provider, you're not supposed to interfere on children's personal life. So they would always tell me, and I was always wondering, why are you telling me this? Because I stress the importance of school. So one day we're leaving the school. The boy is coming to the school to meet up with friends so they can hang out in the park. The oldest of these 2 brothers was saying, "Oh, this is my cousin," and everything. And the girls looked at me, it's females, looked at me and wanted to know if I was going to say anything, but I didn't know this student. But anyway, she got the courage and she asked him why he didn't come to school. Now that shocked him. That somebody, his own peers, was aware that he wasn't coming to school. And he said that he hated school. He hated the teachers. They got on his nerves. He used a little bit of profanity. And so they asked him what he was doing all day. Well, he was watching television, the cartoons, he was playing video games. And then I just automatically felt the compulsion to intervene. And I was saying that you're hurting yourself. You're thinking you're having a good time, but you're really destroying yourself. And you're not going to be able to keep up with your friends. But the younger of the 2 brothers was hearing me, and I think I repeated it a couple of times. And I tell you, out of the mouth of babes, he said, "You're going to be 22 and still in the 2nd grade." In other words, like, can you get that picture? I mean, he said it best. He said it best. And the look on the young boy's face was like, you might have something there.
Wow.
And he walked away from us because the kids started laughing. 22nd grade. How ridiculous is that? But I kind of felt for the boy. I was glad that the youngest of the 2 brothers that were admiring him understood that, yeah, you really are hurting. But he eventually, one day I went to pick up, because I would pick the kids up from school. That young boy went back to school. Maybe a letter showed up in the mailbox from the school at the same time, but it all connected. And so that was
such a great story. I love that story. So Terri, what's next for you?
Well, I'm writing a story now. My friend out in Kansas wants me to write her husband's story, and I've been doing that since
Nice.
September. He was a veteran in the
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam War. He was on the first nuclear powered aircraft. It was
Mm-hmm.
called Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And he served 6 tours on that. And
Wow.
while he was there, Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek,
Uh-huh.
beginning the pilot
Uh-huh.
for the television series that we all know as Star Trek,
Yes.
came on board and visited on
Wow.
board the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've been working on it. So that's next. And then, I want to do my memoir. I
Yes.
started it during the pandemic. I got up to 17 chapters, and now I'm motivated. I want to get it done.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think that, this is such a wonderful, journey that you're on. And as I said, I think it's very inspirational. That's why I wanted to talk with you today. I think it's very inspirational and very motivating for anybody out there who thinks I'm too old or too young or too whatever. Anytime you hear the "you are too," you need to run away from that. Final question. I want
Yeah.
you to, what advice would you give a woman who has a dream but has put it on the back burner? What would you say to her?
I would say keep working, write your ideas down, start journaling. If you're on the train or you're at lunch from work, continue. Stay motivated, stay motivated. Take a little time for yourself to do a movie, swim, exercise, or even just going to the beach or to the lake and just sitting out with nature,
Mm-hmm.
that quiet time where you can really start putting your ideas down. Age has nothing to do with it. As long as God gives you health, strength, keep going, because it's about timing.
Mm-hmm.
Timing to get done. And get involved. I think by staying involved in the writing classes or the book clubs
Mm-hmm.
are motivating.
Mm-hmm.
Do things that are motivating. Be around people who are like that, you'll find that are like-minded like you.
Mm-hmm.
Get away from the negativity.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your words. I've really enjoyed talking with you and hearing about your stories because there are some things you mentioned today that I didn't know. And as I said earlier, we've known each other for decades. So thank you
Yeah.
very much. I
Well,
appreciate your
thank you
time.
for having me. Thank you
Take
very
care.
much.
So, are you ready to launch your dream? If not, keep working on it, keep nurturing it. Find people who will help you along your journey. And if you want to talk with me one on one, head over to my website, constancehowardllc.com, and you can book a one on one conversation. I would love to chat with you. In the meantime, put in the comments below what spoke to you in this interview. I would love to know that as well. And just another reminder, hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you'll be notified when any new videos are posted. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your support. I'll see you next week.